Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Arik Greenberg. Today is Tuesday, April 13th, 2021, and I'm going to give a very informal message today on behalf of the Institute for Religious Tolerance, Peace, and Justice. And I just want to wish all of our Muslim friends and colleagues an Eid Mubarak, happy start of the month of Ramadan for Muslims, which is the month of holy fasting. We also just finished our Interfaith Solidarity March, LA. Actually, it was a California-wide virtual event this year due to the pandemic causing everyone to shut everything down, but we still forged ahead with a wonderful event, even though it was done online rather than in person and in the streets. And this was actually our second year, the second calendar year, doing as a virtual event, and we were able to incorporate the assistance and the camaraderie of a number of other partner marches in California. Now, you do know that we are the flagship or a flagship march within a larger coalition, an international coalition called the Interfaith March for Peace and Justice, IMPJ, which was founded in 2017 by our good friend Greg Davis out of Columbus, Ohio, and he helped pull together a whole bunch of different interfaith marches, many of whom were already marching here in the United States in different areas, such as Philadelphia, which has the oldest interfaith peace walk event in the United States, going on actually in its 18th year right now. Our LA-based march was already in its, I think, its third year by the time Greg contacted us. So he pulled together a whole bunch of different communities around the U.S. and also helped to inaugurate and launch a number of new marches in the U.S. and around the world. And in 2019, I believe it was our largest year ever, we had 24 marches around the world, including about 16 to 18 in the United States, and I think 6 or more outside of the United States in different countries. So that was our largest year. That was, of course, the last pre-pandemic year. In 2020, we had to downsize a little bit. A number of these marches that had been part of our community either weren't able to march or they joined forces with other marches. Some of the marches went online. Philly went online. Ours went online. So that was 2020, and we had a good overall turnout that year. So we just finished our second such virtual march the other day on Sunday the 11th. So as I said, our LA-based march was an all-California march this year, and it included the community from Grass Valley, California, which is in Nevada County, which is not Nevada, it's California. And we also had a group from Ventura County join us. So 3 overall partner marches that were representing California. And so it was a great event, and I want to make sure that we recognize all of the people who were involved in that event. Some great presenters, great performers, great speakers. We got great support from many endorsing and participating and sponsoring partners. By the way, the difference between those, the endorsing partners are just people who are willing to endorse the event. Yes, we endorse the event. We're willing to spread word of this event and invite people in our communities. Supporting partners are the ones who sponsoring partners are the ones who have actually given financial sponsorship in addition to their endorsement. And a number of great groups really gave a good amount of funds to help sponsor the event and help to offset the costs that we do incur. Even with a virtual event like that, there are still costs like videographer costs and all sorts of hidden costs that you never think of. We got a special message from Representative Congresswoman Karen Bass, who pre-recorded a great message specially for us. And we also had real-time messages from LA City Controller Ron Galperin, who has shared messages with us a number of times in the past, and he's always so enthusiastic about supporting our events, and I really appreciate that. And of course, for the first time, we had LAPD Deputy Chief Imada Tingarides, who is the commanding officer of the CSPB, or the Community Safety Partnership Bureau, a relatively newly created department of the LAPD. She is also, as I understand, the first black woman to be first African American and woman to be a deputy chief in LAPD. That is my understanding. So that's something to congratulate her for, and that's it's kind of a hallmark in the development of LAPD, especially in light of the kinds of things that LAPD was known for back in the 1990s during the Rampart era and the Rodney King era and all that. So in a lot of ways, I think LAPD has come a long way. So I want to thank both of them. I also tremendously want to thank our production team. Some really committed people, effective, loyal, committed, hardworking people who really were just very professional in how they did things. And I really think that our event came off without any major hitches. There's always something you think, oh, we could have done this better, we could have done that better, but it was really an amazing event, really. And we finished ahead of time by 12 minutes. 12 minutes. How did that happen? Especially with my long-windedness. How did we get 12 minutes ahead of schedule? So anyway, I do want to mention some things. We do have an event coming up on Sunday, June 27th. It is a summer concert of international music, dance, and art. I don't think that's the formal title of it, but something like that. The International Music, Dance, and Art Concert. And we already have a number of headliners and high-profile people who are going to be taking part as performers in that event. This is going to be a fundraiser for the Institute and for the programs that we do. And so a few of our people are going to be doing their performances for free. But there, of course, still are certain costs that have to be met. So we would ask you to please think about making a contribution. Think about buying tickets to that event. You can find it posted on our website or on our Facebook page. If this message is going to be going out as part of an e-blast, it'll probably be part of the e-blast as well. Anyway, you will find the links. No fear, you will find the links. It'll be on Eventbrite as well. So please register for the event and give a donation to the Institute in conjunction with that event. So that's Sunday, June 27th. So that'll be coming up in almost 2 months now. Couple of other things I want to mention. We're already going to be starting on the 2022 marches. Gosh, 2021, our march is over. We're going to start on 2022. What we'd like to do is expand the community of partner marches. As I said, we are the Institute for Religious Tolerance, Peace and Justice is the umbrella organization of the Interfaith March for Peace and Justice, as well as one of its flagship marches. So we're kind of responsible to curate that larger community of marches around the world. These are pretty much semi-autonomous communities. They do their own thing. They do their marches the way they want, but we are responsible to make sure everybody is on message and that the branding is the same and that nobody's, white supremacists, neo-Nazis or something like that. I mean, there's a certain level of control that we exert or implement just to make sure that, like I said, everyone is on message. But most of these communities, they do their own thing. They decide how they want to do it. Many of them have already been marching for many years, and we don't want to start dictating, you have to do it this way. So, but we are recruiting new marches. We're working on solidifying our relationship with a newly created march in Denver, Colorado. I don't want to mention any names right now for fear that it's too soon, but we do have a new march there. They just began their march for this year, but they're going to have an in-person march next year, we hope. We're also locating 2 other new marches. We're hoping to help build one in Texas. Not exactly sure of the city yet. It might be Houston, but we're not sure. We're working with a few partners in those locations. We also have somebody who reached out to us right in the middle of our march the other day, our virtual march, who's in Ghana, and he wants to start a march in Ghana. So that is another possible new location. We're also we're hoping to identify a location in New Mexico that might be interested in having a member march. So these are all marches that are hoping to get off the ground in the 2022 year, and hopefully we'll all be able to march in person in our locations while still incorporating some level of technology and mass communication like we've done this year, so that people who aren't near a physical march that's already established, they can participate in some way on a virtual level. The sky's the limit. Technology, the way of the future, blah, 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 but we don't want to succumb to our robot overlords or be slaves to technology. So we want to work it together in a healthy manner. so that people can still meet face to face and in person when possible, but when it's not possible due to maybe mobility issues, health issues, financial issues, or simple geography, people can join in electronically and virtually. So we want to kind of merge the real time and the in-person with the technology as well. And these are some of the things we're working on. So we're starting to work on our 2022 program of marches. It'll probably be sometime in April or May of 2022, date as yet to be determined. But we do need help to raise funds for some of the mini grants that we have mentioned from time to time that we give to some of our overseas marches. It doesn't have to be overseas. There could be smaller communities here in the U.S. that request these mini grants, but for the most part, in the past, most of them have gone to overseas marches that are in countries that are not as affluent as the United States. In 2019, I believe it was, we made some mini grants to our communities in India, communities in Pakistan, in Palestine, in Malawi. There are 2 marches in Malawi, a march in Uganda. So these are communities that we'd like to be able to help again. We weren't able to help them in 2020, partly the pandemic. It just, it kind of depressed the whole economy, so there wasn't enough money available to spare to some of our international partners. But we'd like to raise those funds and share these with some of our less affluent partners overseas so that we can help keep them going and help make sure that they can have marches that are safe, that have good security. If there are various local governmental agencies that have certain permits and costs that need to be covered, or the cost of water or quick snacks or something like that, these are the kinds of things we want to help them make sure are covered. So if you are interested, please let us know and say, hey, I want to help cover some of these international marches. I want to ask people to consider giving a little bit extra this year and letting us know that if you want to earmark it for any of the micro grants that will go to the smaller marches, we can help do that. So we might not be able to guarantee that every dollar that somebody gives, that those specific dollars are going to go to this march or that person or that leader or whatever, but we can try. So I make no promises in that respect, because the bottom line is that the funds will always go to where they are needed the most, to keeping the lights on, to keeping the heat running, that sort of thing. But since our flagship project is the Interfaith March, that's usually where the funds go. So just let us know, hey, I want to give a little bit extra to Palestine this year, so please earmark my $20 to go to Palestine or to Uganda or Malawi or whomever. Just let us know and we'll do our best. And maybe we'll try to give you some update videos from those partners so they can let you know how they're doing. Some of the other things that I want to mention is, I was inspired by this march. I was inspired by everything that everybody did, that all the people pulling together to make this march a success. And I'm excited to get started with our next tasks. And one of the things that we are going to be focusing on in the very near future is a new development within our Interfaith Ambassadors program. Now, our Interfaith Ambassadors program has been going on for a number of years. It has generally focused on mostly the local LA area, and I've been bringing my undergraduate students, my college students, to different houses of worship around the Southern California area as part of their academic enrichment in association with their academic work. We've also taken guests who are not collegiate students, people who are quote-unquote grown-ups, non-collegiate age adults. They've come with us on some of these field trips, but mainly the primary audience for these site visits have been my undergraduate students. But with the pandemic, it was difficult to bring anybody to any physical houses of worship, so what we did was we had virtual visits. And I really appreciate all of the hospitality that the various houses of worship extended toward us in allowing us to sit in on their virtual worship services through Zoom or whatever, and they'd have Q&A discussions with us after the fact. But still, there are many aspects of these experiences that are missing. You can't smell the smell of the incense or the freshly retouched paint, or see with your own eyes the calligraphy on the wall of the musalla in the masjid. These things are just not accessible to you with this kind of virtual format. So I am working with a colleague of mine at Loyola Marymount. And once again, this is all in a state of transition, so I'm not going to mention any names. But we are working on trying to start filming some video tours of houses of worship. So there's an additional element to merely just a bunch of 25 or 30 people sitting on a Zoom screen talking with each other saying, this is what I believe. We're going to have people going into, we're going to start with gurdwaras, Sikh gurdwaras. We're going to go into a couple of gurdwaras around Southern California and even in the San Francisco area and give you a tour of what it looks like. And we're going to have high quality, high density videos showing you all of the corners of the Gurdwara, the Darbar Hall, Darbar Sahib, and the Takat, the raised platform, if you will, and the canopy, and where the Guru Granth Sahib, the Holy Scripture, where it sits, and just kind of give you an in-person experience as best we can without teleporting you there or transporting you using a Star Trek kind of transporter to get you there. This is still important even after the pandemic lifts. Because as I said, there are going to be people who, due to medical issues or mobility issues or geographical issues, they maybe can't get to those locations and they still want to know what the inside of a synagogue or a gurdwara or a mosque or any kind of church, what it looks like, what it feels like. And that's one of the things that we're going to start pioneering as part of our Interfaith Ambassadors program. So we're going to start that in the next couple of months, seeing if we can do some of these video tours of certain locations, and we'll put it together with maybe viewing a service and having an interview with some of the people who are heads of that house of worship, and we'll give you a sense of what that's like. So these are things that we're going to be doing, and of course it all costs money. So we're going to ask you to please dig deep, give generously this year, give generously any year. I really believe in what we're doing. And I want to share with you, as I get older, I'm not young anymore, but I'm also not old. But the older that I get, the more I realize that life just goes very quickly. I think one of the most important things my dad said to me later on in his life was, Lee Arik, it goes quickly, he said. It's all he said. He said, it goes quickly. And I remember him saying that. That was maybe about 6 months before he passed. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And so the older I get, the more I realize, gosh, life goes so quickly. And there's so much that we can do and should do while we are on this planet for this short period of time to make our mark, to have an impact, a positive impact on the people around us and the people around the people who are around us, and further ripples further out, in increasing levels of concentric circles, to be able to have an impact on people that maybe you've never met. And I'm feeling a lot of gratitude and a lot of inspiration coming out of this march that we just did. And I'm feeling something that in the Sikh tradition that they call Chardi Kala. And I hope I'm pronouncing that somewhat close to accurately, but to define it for a general audience, just the eternal optimism and joy in the face of God's will. That sometimes we're in adverse circumstances, sometimes we're in positive circumstances, but to be able to always keep that sense of eternal optimism that it's going to be okay, it's part of God's plan, even in times of adversity. And sometimes this is not an easy task. Some of you deal with health issues, financial issues. Just we're all dealing with the pandemic looming over our heads. There are various revolutions and civil wars going on around the world that some of you who may be watching this are dealing with, like our friends in Myanmar. I have a student in Myanmar who's seeing it firsthand. So I want us all to try to keep a sense of Chardi Kala in honor of our Sikh friends and brothers and sisters, and keep that sense of eternal optimism, knowing that we can do something good in this world. We can pull together. I saw us pull together during that march. So anyway, I want to encourage you all to join with us in whatever way you can, whether it's financially or maybe start your own march community in your own location and be in touch with us about that. Send a delegate to our International Planning Committee to be part of the Interfaith March for Peace and Justice in 2022. There are any number of ways you can be involved. So anyway, thank you for listening to this video. It turned out to be a little bit longer than I thought. I remember looking down at the clock and seeing 5 minutes and thinking, wow, that's not too bad. I'm keeping it short. Now I'm looking at it. It's 19 minutes and 30 seconds. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to end off here. I want to wish you all a happy, blessed day, and God bless you, and whatever higher power you pray to, whatever higher reality you recognize, whatever ideology or philosophy, faith or creed you recognize, I hope that you are all well and happy and that we can pull together and make this world a better place. So anyway, thank you for your support of the Institute for Religious Tolerance, Peace and Justice, and thank everyone for their involvement in the Interfaith March for Peace and Justice. And let's look towards a new, better, brighter, happier, healthier future for everyone on this planet. And even outside the planet, all the people we haven't met yet who are in other solar systems. Let's make this a great planet for them to come and visit when we finally meet them. Okay, my friends. Take care. Blessings to you.